I want to tell you about what the mill does. The mill had to grind something. It just didn't stand there. You had to give it something. And what you gave it was either corn, for grits, stone ground grits. Y'all ever had those? They're wonderful. Or wheat. Now, have you ever wondered where that wheat came from? Well, we grew it, right? We used to grow it here. Winter wheat. Now, winter wheat took, 9 months? It was a 9-month process because we didn't have the mass transportation that we have now. So we did our own thing. And it began when the farmer prepared the soil during the late summer or early fall, distributing manure or other refuse, garbage or whatever, like our compost piles, and he would plow it immediately into the ground. And then he'd leave it there for a while, probably a week or two, and then he'd harrow the ground, and then harrow it again, and then roll the soil to level it before he drilled in the seed and the fertilizer. Now, as the seed grew over the winter and spring, it turned into ripened stalks, of course, of wheat by the next summer. The farmer then used a McCormick reaper. Do you remember hearing about McCormick reapers? That was such an improvement over the old way of threshing those things by hand. Thank goodness for McCormick. And he did more than those spices that you find in the grocery store. He did the reaper thing. Well, the farmer used that reaper to cut the stalks up, tie them into bundles, and leave them in the field to be gathered up by workers and shocked. Now, that was not electric shock. Did you know how to shock wheat? What that meant? It was to stand it up so the seed heads wouldn't be on the ground where they'd get wet and rot and whatever. You had to shock it. You had to stand them up. And after the bundles then dried in the field or in the barn, someone with a roving thresher and a steam engine would arrive for the most spectacular part of the whole process. Now, when the thresher was attached to the steam engine, with a wide rotating belt, it was fed into that thresher that had spikes that would kind of grab a hold of that wheat and with a fast-moving flywheel and thresh it where the spikes would tear those bundles apart and blow away the chaff and the straw and drop the grain into the sacks down below. And all the sacks of grain, excluding those due to the owners of the machinery as payment, would be hauled to a granary for storage before being sold to the grist mill, like the Denny mill, for grinding into flour. And now, some sacks were sold directly to country stores or taken as payment to the merchant who had contracted with the farmer for the seed and fertilizer that was used the previous year. Now, the proceeds from a successful harvest improved homes and provided better food and warm clothing for these people. This was basic living, This got you what you needed to exist. We didn't live in luxurious times back then. We got so much now, we got more than we need, it's awful. But these people, they were happy to have food and shelter and companionship and company and families. What's better than that anyhow? What more do we really need? Okay, so they would celebrate all that dusty and backbreaking work of the past 9 months with huge dinners and musical entertainment at picnics and spelling bees and religious gatherings and dances and family gatherings, all of which contributed to the spirit and the unity of the community. Now, that's what we hope for this old mill that's being brought over here, that its use in providing for us community gatherings like this and wonderful music and the gospel music that speaks to our hearts and our spirits will continue that community spirit and the life that we enjoy.